Friends from the media, good morning. Welcome to the Tuesday Pre-ExCo Chief Executive Press stand-up session. Because of the epidemic, please keep your distance and keep your masks on. We'll first hear from the Chief Executive. Good morning. First of all, let me tell you some information about an update of the epidemic situation. In the past week, the epidemic situation is still quite stable. There is a decreasing trend of number of cases. Yesterday, the number of positive cases was, for the first time in the past few weeks, below 200. It's 190 cases to be exact. 96 of them are RAT positive cases and 94 are PCR positive cases. As I've said previously, you shouldn't attach too much importance on the number of cases. Today, should the number increase to above 200, it doesn't mean that there is a turn of the epidemic situation. I would like to draw your attention to 2 points. The figure includes imported cases. So the number of flights arriving in Hong Kong and the number of infected passengers will affect the number of cases. Each day, if we have 2, 3, 4 dozens of cases, it will have an impact on the overall number. The second factor is RAT, the rapid tests. Well, now, after schools have reopened, we have a lot more people taking the tests, which in turn will affect the RAT number. However, we see from the trend of the epidemic situation that since April, it's been decreasing. With the decreasing number of infected cases, that means the CHP, the Centre for Health Protection, are able to focus their efforts on genome sequencing analysis as well as contact tracing. Their efforts will give us a better understanding of the situation in Hong Kong. We may have a number of clusters, but the situation as a whole is under control. The situation in schools are quite reassuring. With the resumption of face-to-face classes, we see 700 to 800,000 of students and children covering kindergarten to secondary schools. They do RAT tests every day. As at the 23rd of May, over a month after resumption of classes, we identify through RAT 349 cases. It's a low figure. So we are not too concerned about that, but we are still vigilant. Previously, the Education Bureau announced that RAT requirements for students and teaching staff will be continued till the second half of June. This will reduce the risks of infection on campus. The most important topic at the moment is vaccination. Vaccination is the most effective way to reduce serious condition of cases. When we say that there is an immunity barrier in Hong Kong, we should say precisely that we have a protective barrier against serious conditions and fatalities. Most of our cases are asymptomatic and mild in medical condition. This in turn will not seriously affect or overload our healthcare system. When you're vaccinated, the risk of fatality or serious condition is greatly reduced. So we will continue our efforts to promote vaccination. For those over the age of 3, for the first and second doses, the overall vaccination rate is satisfactory. For the first dose, it's 91.9%, and the second dose is 86.5%. The rate of vaccination of the third dose is still increasing. As at yesterday, over 30% of the people who went to get vaccinated was for the third dose. Today, the vaccination rate is 53.7%. On the 31st of May, the vaccine pass will enter a new phase in which a third dose is required. So if you are suitable to get the third dose, please do so. There are concerns about the fourth dose. Previously, we have, as a matter of priority, invited those who are above the age of 60 and those with weak immunity systems to be vaccinated for the fourth dose. Previously, we have announced that if you are above the age of 18 and under the age of 60, if you are in an occupation of high exposure risk, or if you have personal needs to get the fourth dose, we will be more than happy to provide it. I will now move on to a different topic, reorganization of the next term of government. I thank the TMHK for completing the scrutiny by the Subcommittee of Government Reorganization of the proposal. On the 27th of May, the TMHK agrees to convene a special establishment subcommittee to discuss the establishment proposal in relation to the reorganization. If we get their consent, then on the 10th of June, a proposal will be submitted to the Finance Committee for their endorsement. This week, we will inform the TMHK that on the 15th of June we will submit a resolution for discussion. We think that it will be endorsed on the same day. So the entire proposal has been on schedule. This is conducive to the forming of the new team of the next government. We're happy to see that the epidemic is stabilizing. So in relation to celebratory activities of the 25th anniversary of the reunification have restarted. There were some activities and events that have been postponed or cancelled. But now we have restarted the campaign. Yesterday, the Leisure and Cultural Services Department, the LCSD, has launched a large-scale campaign. They are the main department in charge of these activities. There are events covering visits to museums, etc. These large-scale activities will take place as scheduled. We hope that it will not be affected by the epidemic. This year is the 25th anniversary of reunification. This is an important year. In the past 5 years, with this staunch support of the central authorities, we have been put back on the right track. We have a theme for the anniversary. The Chinese name of the theme means going forward. It's sung by a number of singers. If you listen to the lyrics, you will feel that we are back on the right track going forward. Now the floor's open. If you'd like to ask questions, raise your hand. If you are named, use the microphone we give you and identify your media outlet. Please limit your questions to 2, and there will be no supplementary questions. The gentleman at the back. Good morning, I'm from Hong Kong 01. 2 questions. First, the 25th anniversary of reunification. You mentioned a number of activities that will take place on schedule. Do you know if there will be any visit by state leader? Will the epidemic situation affect that? Second question is about reorganization of the government. There are legislators expressing concerns, saying that with the proposal, there are a number of creation of posts in the highest echelon of the government, say, for example, deputy chief secretaries. Is it going to be effective, or is it going to be a duplication? Based on your experience, what impact will it have on efficiency of governance? As I said, the 25th anniversary of the reunification is an important time. Of course, we look forward to visits by state leaders. We look forward to their important speech. It's just like 5 years ago, on the 1st of July, President Xi made an important speech. And what happened afterwards showed that the president knows very well about Hong Kong, and it also showed their support. At this moment of time, I'm unable to give you any information. When we're in a position to do so, we will make announcements. Of course, it depends on the epidemic, because the epidemic will affect in strategies towards public health. We hope that the epidemic situation will continue to stabilize so that we can all celebrate the 25th anniversary. Regarding the reorganization, as we've always said, it's done for the next government. Part of the proposals made by this government, that is, it was first made in the policy address in October, and at the beginning of the year, I made a proposal about changing the number of bureau from 13 to 15. But the entire proposal was welcomed by the chief executive-elect. He has also made some input into the proposal. At the moment, our capacity is an agent. On behalf of the CE-elect and the next government, we complete legislative process of the reorganization so that there will be a proposal in place, a proposal that is happy with in place for him to form his team for the next government. It's not appropriate for me to make comments on the proposal, especially on areas that would reflect his governance philosophy, as well as areas that he's happy with. In relation to the proposal of 3 chief secretaries and the 15 policy bureau made by this government, the CE-elect has taken that fully on board. I'm happy to give you more details if you would like. However, as you said, the concern is actually not about this area. Next question. To my right, at the front, the lady.
I'd like to ask...
sorry, could you speak louder?
Oh, yes. Yep. I'm from Bloomberg. I'd like to ask, Hong Kong's latest business chamber has called for quarantine to be scrapped this week, and European airlines are threatening not to fly into Hong Kong as the rest of the region opens due to the quarantine for airline staff. When will home quarantine requirements be reduced or removed? And what would trigger tighter rules for social distancing measures?
I have another 5 weeks to go as the Chief Executive of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. I've been leading the fight against the COVID-19 epidemic for 2.5 years. So as I'm approaching the end of my term, I want to reiterate that all these decisions we made on fighting the epidemic and ensuring the safety of people of Hong Kong are based on a number of factors. One is, of course, the public health considerations. Second is the economic development needs of Hong Kong. And third is the acceptance level or the tolerance of the Hong Kong people. After announcing the 2 phases of relaxation of social distancing measures, the feedback given to me is they are generally fine. A lot of restaurants and bars are now starting to do business. And so whether we would implement the final phase. Actually, the final phase does not involve major measures, just lifting the numbers or the percentage or the limitation of sitting in venues. So I said that it will be done in 3 phases over 3 months. So we may still have a final phase before the end of June. That is the end of my term, because I cannot make decisions after 30th of June. So as far as social distancing measures, there is still a final phase. But as I see it, that final phase is not crucial to the recovery or the enjoyment of the Hong Kong people. About border controls, as you can see from the numbers we announce every day at the 4:30 press conference, because the local infections are kept very low now. So the imported cases account for a rather significant share of the total caseload. And on top of that, we are seeing variants, different variants under this BA.2. So we have to be extremely careful in sort of implementing the restrictions on border controls. I would say at this point in time that it is very unlikely that during my term there will be more relaxations on the border controls. In other words, we will still have the hotel quarantine. We will still require vaccination before a passenger could board a plane to Hong Kong, and we will still impose the test and hold, whether at the airport or at the hotel for a PCR test, in order to keep Hong Kong safe. Thank you.
我哋問多最後一個記者問題。
The last question, please. The lady in green. Good morning, I'm Mrs. Lam. I'm from TVB. First of all, about the vaccine pass. Starting the 13th next month, the vaccine pass requirements will be applicable to special clinics, and also the PCR test results has to be presented. Will it cause inconvenience to elderly people? Elderly people, when they attend follow-up, may have to enter these clinics. And also many people are concerned whether the vaccine pass requirements would be lifted. So is there an indicator, for example, when we reach a certain vaccination rate level, that the vaccine pass will be removed? First of all, most anti-epidemic measures would bring inconvenience to the public. So balancing inconvenience is always our concern. The most important thing, however, is the life and safety of the public. Concerning the vaccine pass, different experts have their own opinions. However, the government has our own position, which is supported by many experts. That is, at present, our vaccination rate still has room to be increased. For the second jab, we haven't reached 90% yet. For the third jab, it is less than 50%. So the vaccine pass will continue to be implemented. Well, you ask about an indicator. It is hard to say because the epidemic is very fluid. When a new variant emerge, we have to be vaccinated with another vaccine. So I think the vaccine pass requirements will continue for a certain period of time. Previously, we have announced that for most premises by the 31st of May, people who enter these premises will have to get free jabs. And also for medical services facilities under the HA, the vaccine pass will also be required. This is to protect those who seek medical assistance. For those who are unjabbed, in a medical setting, the risk is higher. When you are infected, then it may be you may be more prone to get serious complications. So we are trying to protect patients and elderly people. Still, we will make it more convenient to people. For those who can't get vaccinated or are unwilling to get vaccinated, a negative PCR test will be required to go to these clinics. Thank you.